Hello everybody, and welcome to the St. John Norrona midweek message for the 30th of December 2020. We live in a world that can sometimes be a world of illusion, a world where things don't appear as they are and where things are very different from what we might think they are. Of course, there are always people who have an interest in deceiving us, misleading us, in convincing us of something for their benefit, often against our interests. It's always important to be on guard against that because we're vulnerable. Our senses are subject to deception. Most of the time, when people deceive us, it's because they have found something that we are willing to be deceived about, or something that we really want to be different than the way it is, and they take advantage of that. Marketers are masters of this. They know human psychology a little too well for our good, and they use it for their advantage. There are also those who just are misled by wishful thinking, unwilling to admit that things are more complicated or more difficult than they want them to be. That requires compassion to deal with people who are just self-deceived out of their own disappointment with reality. But God has not left us without resources. God has not put us in a world where we are just vulnerable without any help from those who are all too ready to mislead us, to use our weaknesses against us. God has given us the wisdom of art, the wisdom of science, the wisdom of learning in very many areas, not just in science and in art, but also in theology. We can look deeply into things and use our minds. When we use our minds well, we learn to question our senses and use our wisdom as leverage against those who would deceive us. You have those resources available to you. And the most important thing that God has given us in this process is each other. We can enter into discussion, we can enter into argument, we can enter into conflict and work through things, discover things, and become wiser, become more educated, become more flexible, and more able to question and discover truth. So don't let anyone convince you that wisdom is separate from learning and using the mind. They're very important, connected things. But also we need to use our full senses, use our heart, use our emotional life, use all parts of the gifts that God has given us to call into question the things that would deceive us. You are the people of God, and God has called you to work together towards truth, towards wisdom, and those things are never to be separated from compassion, from care, from the world of the heart. We have been given each other for a reason, because on our own, as individuals, we are vulnerable to all kinds of deception, all kinds of misleading, all kinds of error. But together, we can learn and grow and help each other through the maze of complicated and confusing things. And through the minefields laid out by those who have an interest in profiting or gaining by our deception. So, people of God, look deeply into the scriptures, into nature, into science, into the insights of art, literature, creatives, and use all of that to question, to grow, to become more the person that God wants you to be. And we do it together, because that's why we're here.